The New York Times reported NASA and FEMA have rehearsed for the unthinkable, an asteroid strike on Los Angeles. Oh dear. So if you thought you were safe in LA, from the big active fault off the coast of Oregon, you may need to think again. Again, this report came out in recent days. The New York Times reported that NASA and FEMA researchers have been preparing for the unthinkable, an asteroid strike on Los Angeles. I have a soundbite for this. You have to hear the following soundbite. Let me quickly get it up. I heard it today and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, folks, because this, this is a great sign of the times. Is this wormwood, number one? I guess that could be the first question. Is this biblical prophecy? Is this wormwood that the book of Revelation talks about, as to one of the, signs of the soon coming day of the Lord? And, I should say one of the signs of judgment. This is a judgment, if it is wormwood. There are more questions, but we'll get into that. Let me play the soundbite, though, that came out on this report. Amazing stuff, folks. Amazing times we're living in. We're living in the last days.
This is Evangelist Anita Fuentes with Open Your Eyes.
We could skip that part. I already did that part. Let's get to the soundbite. I apologize. Here it is.
Emergency Management Agency has been preparing for the unthinkable. An Armageddon-style asteroid colliding with Earth. Now, it's purely a hypothetical situation right now, but scientists are conducting exercises aimed at protecting the planet, just in case. Regina Santos explains tonight.
4 years from now, a massive asteroid will hit Earth unless scientists do something to stop it. At least that's the fictional scenario that NASA and FEMA have used in their most recent planetary protection exercise. In the latest simulation, scientists have just discovered a 330-foot asteroid that's on par to hit Los Angeles on September 20th, 2020. While 4 years seems like a lot of time to prepare, it's not actually enough to conduct an asteroid deflection mission. That's exactly the point of this exercise. With very little time, emergency response agencies need to efficiently work together and collect, analyze, and share data.
I apologize for the background music. That was not put by us, so just please ignore it.
Exercises like these better prepare these agencies for how they will respond in a real-world event of this nature. According to a spokesperson from NASA, it's not a matter of if, but when we will deal with such a situation.
This is amazing stuff, folks. We just got done listening to a report concerning a massive earthquake, a megaquake that is expected to come, and just cause devastation and havoc and chaos in Oregon, and how 2 earthquakes recorded off the Oregon coast within the past 24 hours has made many raise their eyebrows. And now this, another, it's the same verbiage, right? It's not a matter of if, but when. We heard it with the earthquake concerning Oregon, and now we're hearing it again concerning this incoming asteroid. And she said the year 2020. Now, this is just a reporter, but this is coming in from NASA and FEMA. NASA and FEMA rehearsing a planned scenario of asteroid strike on LA. Stay tuned, because I got to go over the executive order that President Barack Obama issued approximately 4 weeks ago that we reported here at Open Your Eyes, people. I find the timing stunning. Stay tuned. We'll get into that. Let's hear the rest of this. And pardon the annoying background music.
As Earth's population grows and resources become scarce, scientists see potential in space. Deep inside asteroids are precious metals, rare minerals, even fuel for space travel. Instead of drilling deep underground or deep in the ocean, asteroids can be mined for resources.
Resources in space are abundant. There's orders of magnitude more resources in space than we have on Earth.
All right, so that's that. Again, possibility, what it says here, imagine if scientists discovered that an asteroid was hurtling towards Los Angeles. This is according to the New York Times. We don't need to imagine it anymore. Anyway, it says here the possibility has existed on the pages of Hollywood scripts, but in what may be a case of life imitating art, NASA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, and other government agencies engaged last month in a planetary protection exercise to consider the potentially devastating consequences of a 330-foot asteroid hitting the Earth. The simulation projected a worst-case blast wave by an asteroid strike in the year 2020 that could level structures across 30 miles, require a mass evacuation of the Los Angeles area, and cause tens of thousands of casualties. In the 1998 movie Armageddon, dramatized an even greater fictional threat. In that blockbuster, a ragtag crew was sent on a mission to drill into an asteroid and set off a nuclear bomb to avert a global catastrophe. As a character Harry Stamper, portrayed by Bruce Willis, summed up to his crewmates, the United States government just asked us to save the world. Don't expect the need for such Hollywood heroics in real life, however. An asteroid that could cause such damage has no significant chance of striking Earth within the next century, according to Paul Chodas, manager of NASA's Center for Near-Earth Object Studies. Now listen, conflicting reports, right? They're putting out a worst-case scenario. They're just doing a simulation, that took place about 4 weeks ago, that, an asteroid could come in the year 2020. But now you have NASA trying to do damage control? I mean, we can ask the question. Because now you have, again, the manager of NASA's Center for Near-Earth Objects saying if there was even a significant chance of that ever happening, it would be within the next century. Very interesting, folks. Now, this was in an email that was sent after the exercise took place last month. The center relies on several telescopes, such as the Catalina Sky Survey at the University of Arizona, to track potentially hazardous asteroids and comets. These objects, which are leftover matter from the formation of planets, can come dangerously close to Earth or cross its trajectory. The center lists 659 asteroids that have some probability of striking the planet, but none pose a significant threat over the next century. Nevertheless, we must continue searching for asteroids in case there is one that is headed our way. Well, while a warning of 4 years may seem like a lot of time, it would probably not be enough to deflect an asteroid of the size and orbit outlined in the simulation, according to the same manager, Paul Chodas of NASA Center for Near-Earth Object Studies. He says engineers think the simplest way to deflect an asteroid is to build a large spacecraft and simply ram it into the asteroid years before it is predicted to hit the Earth. It could take up to 2 years to build such a kinetic impactor spacecraft and another year or more to reach the asteroid. So in the case of the simulation, an evacuation, not a deflection mission, was necessary. For the organizers of Asteroid Day, which took place about a month ago, they said that they seek to protect the world from dangerous asteroids, such as planning is not out of this world. The more we learn about asteroid impacts, the clearer it can become that the human race has been living on borrowed time. Astrophysicist Brian May stated the following. Now, is the astrophysicist saved? He understands that we're living on borrowed time. Do you? Come on. We're living in the last days. Now listen, the Bible has something to say about the incoming asteroid. And then we're going to talk about the executive order that came out approximately 4 weeks ago when this simulation was taking place in the year 2020. And of course, it's not going to happen within the next century or anything. We're going to talk about that here. First, let me show you what the Bible has to say about an incoming asteroid in the last days. The book of Revelation, chapter 8. Please go with me. The book of Revelation, chapter 8. I find this stunning, folks. I find this stunning. If you're just tuning in, welcome. We're talking about the New York Times reporting NASA and FEMA rehearsing for the unthinkable, an asteroid strike on Los Angeles. An asteroid strike on Los Angeles, and how they did an actual exercise simulating that a 330-foot asteroid would hit the Earth in the year 2020. And how that was approximately the same time that President Barack Obama issued an executive order on space weather events. We're going to get into that. First, go with me again. The book of Revelation, chapter 8. The book of Revelation, chapter 8, verse 11. It says here, well, let me read this in context. Let's go to verse 10. The book of Revelation, chapter 8, verse 10. We're talking about the third trumpet. The water struck. It reads as follows. Then the third angel sounded, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch. And it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the water because it was made bitter. We're talking about NASA and FEMA rehearsing for the unthinkable. A 330-foot asteroid hitting the Earth in the year 2020, even though it was just a simulated project, let's just say it's not simulated. Let's just say they're calling it simulated for the sake of not causing panic in the public. And let's just say that they actually know something we don't. I mean, we're just talking here, folks. Let's just say that if, they see that there is a massive asteroid that could cause major catastrophe on planet Earth, and they're freaking out. And they're really trying to figure out how they will be able to do a massive exodus of people in the Los Angeles area. Whoa. In the time of catastrophe, if this thing comes any closer, which they're probably expecting it to, if it turns out it's not just a simulation, of course. And if that's the case, they would need to be already on top of it by preparing ways to evacuate millions of people from the Los Angeles area. Now somebody's tuning in and you're saying, come on, Evangelist. Didn't you just hear what the NASA manager, Paul, said? He said that can't happen. That's just a simulation, and it may not happen, within the next century, or it may not happen until the next century, or what have you. It's in other words, it's just a simulation. Can't you all just take what they say? Okay, I hear you. However, I got a couple of things that's challenging this. Number one is that, first of all, it's Bible prophecy. We know, according to the word that we just read, that there is coming a star. The star translated here in the Greek means, it equates to an asteroid. It equates to a rock. And it's called wormwood, and a third of the men, it says here, many men will die from the water, because a third of the waters will become bitter because of this wormwood that will strike. It is a judgment from the living God, because we're living in the last days. It's a judgment on sinful men that refuse to repent. Now I got another thing that challenges this. And the word of God really is sufficient. That's enough, right? But I'm going to throw in another challenge. And this is it, folks. There was an executive order that was coordinated from the White House itself. You can go to the whitehouse.gov. I will give you the web address and you can follow along with me. Okay, so let me just get it up here. White House Executive Order. Let's see here. Just give me a second. I'll give you all the information you need here. I'm gonna read over it too, but I want to give you all who are saying, come on, there's no way that there was an executive order to prepare for space weather events 4 weeks ago, the same time that they were having the simulation. Just give me a second. Okay. This is from the whitehouse.gov. So you could just simply go to www.whitehouse.gov/ it's really, just go to whitehouse.gov and executive order coordinating efforts preparing nation space weather events. Or you can simply Google executive order coordinating efforts to prepare the nation for space weather events, and it will come up under whitehouse.gov, if that's good enough for you, okay? In the meantime, while you're looking at all that, I'm going to go ahead and read what the executive order states. Now, we reported on this when it broke. When this executive order broke, and this was back on October 13th. October 13, 2016, Obama, there was jokes being made. Oh, Obama expands his powers past the earth. He expanded his executive orders in the universe because he had put an executive order coordinating efforts to prepare the nation for space weather events. However, I can see the reason why, because he knew, or he may know, that the simulation is not maybe a simulation at all, that there is a 330-foot asteroid hurling towards the earth aimed for Los Angeles that could strike in the year 2020 based on the simulation from NASA and FEMA that could cause massive devastation, that they're preparing a way for a mass evacuation because they know it'll be devastating and will kill millions of people. Now, this is what the executive order says. Check this out. Executive order, coordinated efforts to prepare the nation for space weather events. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, and to prepare the nation for space weather events, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1 Policy. Space weather events in the form of solar flares, solar energetic particles, and geomagnetic disturbances occur regularly, some with measurable effects on critical infrastructure systems and technologies, such as the Global Positioning System, also known as GPS, satellite operations and communication, aviation and the electrical power grid, which is an EMP, extreme space weather events, which could be an incoming 330-foot asteroid, that those that could significantly degrade critical infrastructure, could disable large portions of the electrical power grid, resulting in cascading failures that would affect key services such as water supply, health care, and transportation. Space weather has a potential to simultaneously affect and disrupt health and safety across entire continents. Successfully preparing for space weather events is an all-of-nation endeavor that requires partnerships across governments, emergency managers, academia, the media, the insurance industry, nonprofits, and the private sector. It is a policy of the United States to prepare for space weather events to minimize the extent of economic loss and human hardship. The federal government must have, number one, the capability to predict and detect a space weather event. Now listen, this came out October 13, 2016, just a few weeks ago. Okay? He said, number one, the federal government must have the capability to predict and detect a space weather event. We just got a headline that came out literally in recent days where NASA and FEMA held a simulation of a 330-foot wide asteroid that's hurling towards planet Earth that will hit the year 2020. That's a time frame. They say it's just a simulation, but they are preparing for millions of people to have to evacuate Los Angeles if the asteroid actually hit, although it's just a simulation. Number two, according to the executive order, the plans and programs necessary to alert the public and private sectors to enable mitigating actions for an impending space weather event. Number three, the protection and mitigation plans, the protocols and standards required to reduce risks to critical infrastructure prior to and during a credible threat. And number four, the ability to respond to and recover from the effects of space weather. Executive departments and agencies must coordinate their efforts to prepare for the effects of space weather events. Section 2, objectives. This order defines agency roles and responsibilities and directs agencies to take specific actions to prepare the nation for the hazardous effects of space weather. These activities are to be implemented in conjunction with those identified in the 2015 National Space Weather Action Plan and any subsequent updates. Implementing this order and the action plan will require the federal government to work across agencies and to develop as appropriate enhanced and innovative partnerships with state, tribal, and local governments, academia, nonprofits, the private sector, and international partners. These efforts will enhance national preparedness and speed the creation of a space weather-ready nation. A space-ready weather nation, or a space weather ready nation. Either way you look at it, folks, there may be a 330-foot asteroid coming to Los Angeles. What's going on? This is in light of the crazy headline in the report that we just gave to you a few minutes ago, where 2 earthquakes recorded off the Oregon coast that's causing many to raise their eyebrows because seismologists, geologists, and scientists are very concerned that a massive earthquake is due. It is due. And these 2 earthquakes that were recorded off the Oregon coast within the past 24 hours, right near this active fault line, which is the Cascadia subduction zone, is causing many to kind of sweat a little bit. When I say many, I'm not talking about the regular, citizen here. They're going about their daily business. I'm talking about the ones who knows, the people that that know that it's not a matter of if, but when, and it's causing trouble. I need to know if you're ready. My job as an evangelist, my job is to ask you if you're ready. Okay, now we're going to get into preparing. I'm going to tell you a little bit as to how we're to prepare in the natural, in the physical. But I need to ask you: are you prepared spiritually? Are you saved? Do you know that once you close your eyes here on earth and you open them up in eternity, that you're going to be in heaven and not in hell? That your name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life? That you're going to be welcomed in the arms of the Almighty God, saying, "Welcome, come and enter into the presence of the Lord, thou good and faithful servant"? Or are you going to be going before the great God as being judged, because He is also the judge? He's going to throw you. He's going to open up books at the end. He makes it very clear, and it's if He's opening up this books plural, that means you didn't make it, because there's only one book your name's supposed to be in, and that's the Lamb's Book of Life. And there's going to be weeping and gnashing of teeth. We need to make sure that our lives are right. I know people are saying, "No, evangelist, there's no way we're living in the last days anymore, because the Lord sent a reprieve." That's what all the prophets said. That's what the prophets said in these current times. The Lord sent so many people on radios and television and even at the church. My own pastor said that God has given us a reprieve, and He's given us a new president in this new election, and now we're no longer living in the last days. He's held back his hand. He's turned the doomsday clock back an hour, and He said, "No, not yet. We're just going to have peace on earth, goodwill toward men. We're going to have peace and safety." The Bible says that when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, beloved, and they shall not escape. We are still very much living in the last days. The Lord is speaking loud and clear through the signs that He is giving us, with the continued labor pains, the continued shaking that's taking place in these last days. Now listen. NASA-FEMA rehearsing for the unthinkable, an asteroid strike on Los Angeles. We got the executive order that literally came out it came out the same time that this was taking place. And of course, you definitely don't want to forget that there were threats coming in from Russia. Nuclear war imminent as Russia tells citizens to find out where the closest bunkers are. Why were they telling their citizens this? Was it because they were concerned that there will be a nuclear war with the U.S., or are they also concerned that this asteroid may hit them? So we don't know, it could be under the guise of a nuclear war. It would be nuclear, we know that, because the asteroid would be, it would be that devastating. It would be on a level of a nuclear war. Or it could, I'm bringing up Russia as an example, as to the distress of nations with perplexity, which is another sign of the times in the Gospel of Luke chapter 21 verse 25. It's amazing, folks. It's amazing that people, the Lord's speaking, and we can't ignore Him. To continue watching this broadcast, please show your support by visiting our website, www.openyoureyespeople.com, and help keep us on the air by placing a donation today. P.O. Box 9570, Rancho Cucamonga, California 91701. Until next week, may you be richly blessed.